Hello. Welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and we are back for another review of The Real Housewives of Orange County. And this is season 19. This is episode 4 and 5. So this is a double recap. Because for those who already know, I mean, you probably noticed the episode from last week was not up yet, and it's because your girl's been living life. So yeah, it is what it is. But I'm back, and we're going to get into that. But before we get into that, I apologize ahead of time if my voice sounds a little hoarse. But child, I was let me give you a brief synopsis of what I did this past weekend. By this past weekend, I really just mean Saturday. Saturday, I did 3 days worth of stuff all in one day. It was crazy. So for those who don't know, I mean, you could tell based off of my setup that I moved back in April. And so I finally had my housewarming party yesterday. And I had like 14 people in my place, and like outside and inside. And mainly my place is meant for the outdoor experience. That was the thing that sold me to purchasing this place, to be honest with you. The combination of that and how the kitchen is set up, and also the location and just the outdoor space in general. Like that was one of my big wish lists, because I haven't really had that. I didn't have that at my old place because I lived so close to the lake before. But now I'm not as close to the lake, but I'm close enough where I still run to the lake sometimes. So it's not really like I'm far away for real. But from my standard, I used to be able to walk. Like part of my lunch break before I moved here was I would walk to the lake, and sometimes just sit by the water to, reset and then go back to work. Like to get, if that gives you anything of how close I was to the lake before. But because I was so close, I didn't have an outdoor space. And really, it just wasn't, the building, I didn't love the building I was in before. The only thing that sold me there was the location. But the location also wasn't the best when it came to going anywhere that was outside of off of Lakeshore. Anything that wasn't close to like the north side adjacent areas where I could walk, it would take a hike for me to get to. Like driving, it would take me 14 minutes to get to Logan Square, which is like the northwest side of the city. And so now everything is kind of like not far. Like it takes me now probably about 20 minutes now. So, and 20 minutes is doable. And that's still that still takes time, but that's neither here nor there. I digress. But yeah, I finally had the housewarming, and I was just ripping and running and all over the place hosting, and I got mostly everything cleaned up already. I have a ton of leftovers. So as much as I've lost weight, because I've also been on this health journey of trying to get my weight back down to where it was before I got injured. Basically, when I first started this YouTube channel is when I got injured. So I'm trying to get down to where I was before that. And that's a journey in itself. But so far, when I weighed myself prior to this housewarming, I was 10 pounds lighter. So, and I started really getting serious about it in July. So there's that. But I probably might be reversing it because of all my leftovers, because I grilled. So yeah, I had food for everyone, had tons of fruit. All my friends who showed up, which thank you for everyone that showed up and showed out. They either brought food, snacks, drinks. Some people brought actual housewarming gifts. All of it was welcome. I was glad to just be around everyone and enjoying like my victory, because like me getting my place, that was one of my major bucket list things that I finally was able to do. And with my own money and just it being me. So that was something that I was like, yeah, I did that. Anyway. So from doing all that, because the party started at 2, I then ended the party around 6, and I might have had some drinks, but I was very overly stimulated. Let's just put it that way. So another thing that's going on in the city this weekend is, so in Chicago, we have the Pride Parade in June, and then in August, we have Market Days, which is basically another celebration for LGBTQ plus. So we went. there was a handful of us who was like, okay, let's go to market days now. So we went to market days, had us a blast, had us a time. The libations were still libating, and we're just walking around having a vibe. And I actually ended up meeting someone while I was there. I actually was kind of wild. I ran into a former classmate from high school that I ain't seen in years. And I was like, oh my gosh. He's like, what are you doing here? I was like, well, I live here. What are you doing here? We did a whole, it was giving Spider-Man ming a little bit, but it was funny. But we caught up a little bit. I saw some of the former bartenders that I used to frequent there. Like, I just was running into everybody I knew at this market days thing. I'm just like, see, for as much as I don't go outside anymore, I still be knowing everyone once I walk outside. And the funny thing is, like, I haven't really, if you think about it, I haven't lived in Chicago that long. But I still just find there's, if anything, there's going to be a way where I'm going to run to somebody I know. Just a brief amount of time that I be outside, apparently my presence be known. I don't know what that is, but it is what it is. But anyway, so I ended up meeting someone there. I'm not going to get into all that because we ain't getting too much in Sharon's business. We're not, and this is also not Sharon After Dark. This is a housewife review that I haven't started yet. But again, you need to know a little bit more about me, though, right? Right. Okay, so I met someone there, and I was really vibing with the person. I was like, you know what? And we talked for a good, I feel like 20 minutes, and I kind of lost track of my friends. And I was like, oh no. Like, I don't know how that happened, but it did. But we were just vibing, and then I found out this dude, like, is a Hoosier also, because I'm from Indiana. And so we were both just like, oh my gosh. And once we exchanged the digits, I was like, oh, he has an Indiana area code. So I was like, okay. But he lives, in the area, drivable area, which at this point in my life, I'm okay with right now. Because I'm still not sure about this dating situation. I haven't been dating for a while, for those who don't know. I've actually been celibate. So I've been trying to, not do any of that. But I'm starting to, chip away and be like, you know what? I've worked on myself a lot. Let's maybe, go jump back in. Not jump back in. Maybe go into the, the shallow section of dating. And then we'll work our way into the deep end at some point. But anyway, that was nice. That happened. And then one of my friends remained. It was like Hunger Games. I started with 14. We then ended up with 3, but then we gained a person, and then we ended up with 2. It's just me and the other person. And that's how it always goes. It always ends up being us 2. We're always the last one standing. I don't know which one of us is the worst influence on each other, just put it that way. It's one of them, but not in a bad way. Of course, we're responsible, we're adults. And so afterwards, neither of us had enough of how everything went, because I went and found her. She was the only person I could find. I was like, okay. And everyone was like, yeah, we're tired, we're going home. I'm like, okay. And I was like, what do you want to do afterwards? She's like, I was going to go home. And she's like, unless you want to go dancing. I'm like, the holiday club? She's like, yeah. So your girl went out at the holiday club and went dancing. And I love when I could go dancing. There just isn't as many dancing nightclubs in the city anymore. But there's few that are old institutions. And the holiday club, for those who never visit Chicago, if you want to visit and if you're staying mainly in the north side, the holiday club is the place to go. It is a good time. It's fun, especially if you're an older millennial. I feel like the people, I feel like I met some people who were Gen X, Gen Zers in there. But I feel like if you're Gen X to millennial age, you really will love the holiday club, because they're playing, it's basically a club where they play throwback music, but it's throwback dance music. So they got into a little bit of the house bag, but more of the mainstream house, of course. They got into the things from the mid 2000s, when I really was outside my 20s, when I was tearing up the streets. So I was living my best nostalgia life last night. And I was trying to get people off of me too, because I don't know if anyone else has this problem, but this is a problem that I be having a lot. No one ever knows how old I am, really. And so I get hit on a lot by people who are younger than me. I also get hit on by people age appropriate as well. And last night, I just couldn't get people to leave me alone. I'm like, I'm just here to dance and go home. Like, I basically had to kind of be a jerk and tell people that. Like, I'm here to dance and go home. I ain't trying to hook up. I ain't trying to do none of that. Like, no. I'm here to dance and go home. And I was like this and just completely dead. You know, just like dead to the face. Like, no, I'm here to dance and go home. Even though I've had some drinks, you might be, your girl might have been a little bit tipsy. But like, what kind of time I was on was not going to change. Okay. But anyway, that was my weekend, aka yesterday. And so I know I just went on a tangent about how my voice might be sounding weird, but that is why. And I'm not really doing myself any favors by filming this review, but I want to get this done and over with because I have the time to do it. So we're going to do it now. And then let's talk a little bit more before we get into the actual review, more of a content update. So I did see for next week's schedule, I don't know if anyone else saw this, Real Housewives Miami are going to have 2 back-to-back episodes. So they're going to have an episode on Wednesday and Thursday, but y'all already know I did the Peacock of it all because I don't have cable or anything like that anymore. I did before, but I don't anymore. And so you're going to get those reviews Thursday and Friday. So you're going to get 2 recaps of Real Housewives Miami and then the one from Orange County. Orange County next week's going to be good. We'll get into it when we talk about it right now. But anyway, I know this was a long intro, but let's get into the episode 4, which is Judge, Jury, and Jenn. Like Judge as in like Tamara Judge. Anyway, let's get into it. So this seems like forever ago, but basically where we're still at the party. So we're still at Heather's party, and this is the aftermath of Katie and Shannon getting into it. Katie's like, you know what? I'm not going to take this anymore. I think I'm just going to leave. And so her and Matt, they proceed to go. She like says goodbye to the people. And yeah, so they leave. And then as they're trying to leave, Tamara is on her way with Joe. And Joe, she was actually on the show last season briefly because she's friends with Ryan apparently, or used to work with Ryan. But she also is a former housewife that was Slate, which is Gretchen's husband's ex. So Tamara's doing this to be messy. And this is why no one feels bad for Tamara, because her actions and her words do not match. She still is just showing how much of an evil person she is. Because why else? And she keeps claiming that, you know, Gretchen's picking on her, but yet she is doing this. And it's like, I don't understand in what delusional world that she's in that she does not see that she's the problem. Anyway. And so as Katie is leaving, before Katie leaves, by the way, I forgot to mention this, she did talk to Jenn, and she was asking like, how did Shannon find out what happened as far as like what she did last year? Now, Katie, girl, the problem is you shouldn't have done those things because it is weirdo behavior. But at the same time, Shannon, and I don't know if y'all saw the preview for next episode, for episode 6, but Shannon, I don't know. You are kind of looking funny to me right now, and not in a good way. And we'll get to it when we get to it, but it's like you're putting 20 on 10, and the look is not a good look considering that, you know, you deal with Tamara on a regular basis, but you can't handle what Katie did. But anyway, so we find out, though, after talking to Katie and Gretchen and Jenn, that the way Shannon found out was Tamara. And the thing is, everything that Katie did that she's basically doing this apology tour for is everything she did last year. None of this stuff happened recently. And so it is messed up that Tamara brought up some really old news to work up Shannon to be this mad. And so that's kind of problematic. But so basically Katie's like, yeah, I owned up to what I did, but it's messed up that, you know, she's bringing up something that happened last year. you know. And so basically when Katie and Matt are trying to leave, Tamra approaches her. She's like, where are you going? Where are you going? And she's trying to, she's being fake concerned. And Matt, Katie's husband, calls it out. She's like, you don't care. He's like, you don't care. Like, why are you trying to act concerned? And then Tamra flips on her, is like, so it's my fault you did what you did. And Katie's like, no, like I owned up to it, but why are you bringing something up when you knew that this dinner that I had, because she basically sabotaged Katie's dinner, her hot pot event, because at that moment, Katie was using that to make up to everyone and have an olive branch, but then she basically, Tamra threw a wrench in it. And so now there's no olive branch with everybody. Like, so yeah. And so Tamra is still just being delusional and doesn't see what she did wrong. And then afterwards, and shortly after that, she shows up at the party. And I think she thought she was doing something showing up with Joe, but it was like, meh, meh, meh. Like the moment didn't give what she thought it was going to give. And everyone was just looking at her like, wow, that was thirsty of her. Real thirsty. And that's the problem with Tamra. Tamra, girl, like, I don't understand in what like world of hers that she thinks her behavior still works. It's just like, I feel like Tamra at this point in her life, it comes out like that she's being basically a caricature of herself. And you would have thought that time away of her being off the show, she would show up as a newer version of herself. But instead, she's still just showing that nothing has changed about her. And the fact that this woman is like in her mid-50s and she's still acting the same way she was acting when she was in her 30s, that's disturbing. That's real disturbing. It was already disturbing that she was acting like this in her 30s, but it's like, you know, at least there was some youth there, I guess. But really, no, it's just all wrong. But anyway, and so Terry is trying to lighten the mood because he's stoned. Okay, he has been hitting up the bar, the edible bar, the whole entire time. He is in his own world, and he's actually the comedic relief a little bit here at this moment. And then, so Heather is still trying to be the peacemaker and trying to have Jenn and Tamra resolve their issues. And so Jen's like, fine, whatever. So she goes to Tamra and she's like, hey, you know, I don't want to do this at her party, but do you want to, like, you know, schedule some time so we could talk and, you know, figure things out? And Tamra's like, sure. But in the confessional, the whole entire time, Tamra just still is acting like she was the one who was the victim. When she does it, it's like, I don't know what world that she's in, but she just thinks that she is never the problem. She never thinks she's the problem. And it's literally one of the most frustrating things ever. But anyway, and then afterwards, Heather does a toast and they proceed to party. And this party, like I said from before, looked like a good time. I was kind of jealous. I would have loved to be there too. And, side note, Gina was kind of making fun of Gretchen a little bit. And I'm like, Gina, I would take several seats. She was making fun of Gretchen's look. But, like, okay, truthfully, kind of right message, but wrong messenger. You know? Let's just be so for real. Because, Gina, you look broke. Still. You can't dress. And I honestly wouldn't take anyone seriously who's talking crap about me that wears stuff that looks like it could be from Fashion Nova. Basically wears things that it looks like I wear that in my closet. I'm just saying. But anyway, moving on. One thing I will say, though, about yesterday is I hydrated very, very well. I noticed that. Mainly because I was drinking, like, the spiked seltzer waters. So, like, I was hydrating but drinking at the same time a little bit. And wine. You know, that's what Jesus would do. But anyway, I digress. So, the next scene, we have Gina and Travis. They're at an open house. They're setting up, getting ready for an open house. And the property that they're planning on showing is for like a 55 plus community. So basically you have to be the age 55 or older to, like, you know, purchase in this type of community. I'm kind of curious because Chicago has some things that are like that too. I'm wondering if I do decide to move again, will I do something like that? Or will I just stay here? Or will I wait till I settle down? I don't know. These are a lot of the thoughts that I didn't really think about until I purchased. But yeah, anyway, whenever I look at these things, I'm just kind of like, what's my next move? You think once you buy something, you're done. But it's like, no, it's just more. Maybe because I'm very goal oriented of a person, I am always like on to the next one comes to everything. So who knows? But anyway, we find out though that they have a very successful business together now. They're doing very well at it to the point where now they have people that are under them and have different partners. They have someone that they're bringing on from Texas. Like, it seems like they really are investing and putting their money where their mouth is when it comes to this real estate stuff. For those who live in that area, let me know if what she's saying is true. Because these women might say one thing, but in real life might be something different. Because I also would not be surprised if some of the people are doing like these trips. I mean, they're doing an open house because they know that she's from, the Real Housewives. I don't know. Just let me know. But anyway, so then as they're doing this, Tamra does end up showing up at her house. And Tamra was actually kind of joking about it, but I don't think she was. I think she was kind of serious because, again, I don't know. Do y'all believe that Tamra's marriage is really okay? I kind of don't, but that's neither here nor there. So she was joking about how she ended up buying this place because she is over the age 55, but like her husband isn't, so like she could have her own space. And to me, it sounds like based off of last season, they already don't really live together anyway because they have that property Big Bear also. But I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are. And they're kind of talking about, and there's a dual scene happening. So as this is happening, they're talking about the Jenn of it all. We'll get into that, but then let's go over to the other scene that's taking place, which is with Jenn and Ryan. Jenn and Ryan, we found out they got their top veneers done, but they got them done properly. It wasn't no Atlanta's type stuff. They actually went to a dentist because if you're going to do that, if you put things in your mouth, you should probably go to the dentist, right? Yeah. And anyway, and got their top veneers done, but they liked them so much they want to get the bottom veneers done so that everything is nice and white come the wedding. And I kind of figured they have veneers, but I wasn't sure because they're not. You could tell they did a good job, but like they're at the OC. They're in the OC. The OC, I feel like of all the like areas of the country, you're gonna have the best surgeons, the best enhancers, where you're gonna be looking good. I can only imagine that. So anyway, they're basically there for a consultation, get their bottom teeth done for the wedding. And then here they talk about the Tamra of it all, and she basically mentioned, yeah, I talked to Tamra, and I'm going to try to hear her out and see what she has to say. And so we're going to meet for dinner. And Ryan's like, I'm hoping we see a difference in her, but I just don't believe it, which he's right. And then over on the other side, we had Tamra talking to Gina, and she's still just kind of just like, she's like, I don't know what I have to talk to her about because this, that. And she's still trying to push this thing that Jenn is obsessed with her. And it's like, Tamra, you look old and decrepit. Okay? I don't know how anyone will be obsessed with you, respectfully. Especially Jenn. Jenn is beautiful. She is a beautiful woman. I'm going to leave it alone like I've tried before, but like, because, okay, unpopular opinion, but probably not that unpopular opinion. I feel like women who are a certain age, when they get work done, especially when they're younger, it ages them. And so I will say with Jenn, even though she's a beautiful woman, I think I said this last season, I did not know that we were as close to age as we are. Because I feel like I look younger than her. But I've also never had work done. And also, too, the melanin of it all. It's not fair. It's not fair. No, respectfully. And also, I kind of carry myself. I have a youthful energy about me, and everyone tells me that. So I'm not that surprised. But anyway, moving on. So that's kind of what's going on. They're just kind of just getting ready for that. And then from there, let's go on to what's going on next year. Side note, I think I might split up these videos just because my intro was forever long and I didn't mean to go as long as I did. So we're going to do episode 5 and then I'm going to put them back to back so that you can see both episodes because I just really need to get caught up. But anyway, so then the next scene we have Heather and she's at her house that she basically got in over her head on, and she ends up having the 2 realtors from $1 Million Listing, Josh Alderman and Josh Flag from $1 Million Listing, and that's a reality show. I've never actually watched that reality show, but I've heard about it before. I guess for me, the housing shows I like are shows where like it seems like I can maybe afford these places. I don't necessarily like to watch regularly like the overly extravagance of it all, because I just don't envision that self for me. Because I would never, even if I had that kind of money, I couldn't not see myself ever buying a big property. Because I don't trust enough people to even get help to help maintain it. I just don't like large spaces, but that's just me. But anyway, so they're kind of talking about what they need to do. And the whole gist of this is Heather wants to break even. She did clean it up a little bit, so it did look better than when she first purchased it, but she just realized it's not going to work for her and her family situation. She mentions how like 2 of her kids might end up in the East Coast. She has another one that's going to probably end in Los Angeles, and then this place. And if she was continue with the plan and them getting, especially after they got hosed by their budget, they would not be able to the house wouldn't even be done for them to even go into it until I think her youngest is graduating high school, which basically defeats the whole entire purpose. So I am curious to know what made her think she wanted this place to then turn it around. Because I feel like last season when we saw her hunting for places, this seemed like this was a spur of a moment purchase. It seemed like it wasn't, it's kind of presenting like this was not a thought out purchase. And it's like, this was like a purchase gone wrong type situation. But since she has experience with flipping and doing houses and stuff like that, it's all good. Like she might be able to break even. That's the whole goal. And we have a little bit of friendly banter between the Joshes, and that's that on that. Next. Okay, so the next we have Tamara, and she's hanging out with her daughter Sophia, and we find out Sophia is going to a community college. She looks a little bit different than last season. She got her hair all looking like Gen Z. Because I feel like the 80s kind of aesthetic when it comes to like the mullet and whatnot, that is a Gen Z thing. Because us millennials, we're actually outside when that was the thing the first time around, so we're not really trying to bring it back. But maybe some of y'all are. Maybe the younger millennials are. But like, since I'm an older millennial, I'm almost borderline Gen X. I'm like, yeah, we're good on that. But anyway, they talk about her moving out of the home, and then she talks about therapy, and then part of this scene kind of felt forced because it's Tamara, so I never trust it. She was just like saying, do you see a change behavior in me? And I'm just kind of like, and her daughter of course says yes, but it's like, girl, for how long she's been on therapy, which probably hasn't been that long at this point, there wouldn't be that change. The change of behavior would not be that immediate. I'm sorry. As someone who's been going to therapy for years, it takes a minute, especially if you're someone who was resistant of therapy for a long time. You're not going to have change behavior like that. That's just not a thing. But anyway, so we kind of get that. And it was nice to get an update on what's going on with Sophia. Sophia will be going to the music school after this year, after she gets her general studies done at the community college, which is smart, and I kind of, looking back, I wish we had done a similar thing, but I kind of couldn't have, because my scholarship didn't work for community college. My scholarship only worked for, larger universities. And for those who don't know, like, I had like a 4-year full ride scholarship, and it was any school in the state of Indiana. So I couldn't just like, I did end up going to community college, but that was because me putting myself in academic probation. So I had to go out of pocket for that to get my GPA back up, and then I like got back on like, you know, the regular deal. And I also wanted to make sure I didn't lose the rest of my scholarship because I had a little too much fun after the second year of college. First year, I was like, oh, this is what it's like. Because for those who don't know, just a little bit more extra tea about me. I was slightly a sheltered kid. I didn't really do much of anything that was like mischievous until like I was 18. So I basically waited until I was an adult to experience anything. And I mean, all things, like even drinking. Like I didn't do any of that stuff until after like I was pretty much I was an adult and I was supporting myself somewhat because I've had a job of some sort since I was like 15. So there's that too. But anyway, I digress again. So then from there, we then see, let's go into the next scene. Yeah. So this next scene, it was cute and fun, I guess. And it was basically, we had Gretchen, Emily, and Shannon, and they're doing aerial yoga. And this was a cute scene, but I'm just so confused how Shannon, I feel like Shannon is like, I don't know how she's so the way she is, like not graceful. I don't get it. It's like, does she suffer from vertigo or something like that? I just have so many questions. But anyway, she was looking crazy and they were hanging upside down. You know, Emily's butt was out. I mean, she's the only one in the cast that has a badunkadunk. So, I mean, it was out. And yeah, so they kind of had a little short scene there. And then they're kind of just recapping everything and just talking about Tamra and if she's changed or not. Gretchen's not buying it. Gretchen's like, I don't need to be friends with her. Like, and Shannon's also kind of pretty much agreeing with Gretchen. She's like, yeah, Tamra she has a pattern of doing this. Like, this has been her shtick for how long she's been on the show? Since season 3 or 4? So like 15 years of this? Yeah. I wouldn't believe anything either. Anyway, so then as this is happening, we then see on the other side, Gina, Heather, and Katie, they're meeting up. And they're also both talking, basically dual seeing again, but they're both talking about the aftermath of the party. And Katie's like, you know, she's getting more news that Tamra told the group more things about what Katie was doing, even though Katie didn't do half this stuff. Potentially didn't do half this stuff. Now, do I think Katie did a lot of this stuff? Yes. Because unfortunately, Katie and her truth, it's giving that it's her truth versus the actual truth. Now, do I think Katie is doing the amount of damage that Tamra's saying? No. And that's what's tricky. Tamra is manipulating the situation, basically doing her thing that she's been doing for years on this show, giving the ladies like a accelerated version of the truth, basically adding sauce to the situation. But so basically Tamra's target this season is Katie. But the good thing so far that's making this show still somewhat redeemable and watchable is some of the ladies are Uno reversing it and bringing it back to Tamra as they should. Because I've been waiting so long for another Tamra takedown season, and this might happen again, especially seeing the preview for the episode 6. But yeah, anyway, Katie, of course, is denying everything that they're alleging that Tamra's alleged that she did. Because the thing that's tricky and what Katie is not understanding is apparently she's friends with all these vloggers. But like the thing is, all the housewives are. And so what's bothering me and what's starting to become, well, it's been problematic, but now it's starting to get worse. I think the reason why I don't buy into it being problematic all the way, because again, Katie don't be telling the truth, she'd be lying. But the problem is she's getting accused and nailed to the cross of doing things that almost all other housewives do. The only thing that I would say was like kind of like a violation though was what she did to Shannon, which was recording her without her knowing it. But at the same time, I just hope someone will call it out, Uno reverse it to Shannon, maybe you should stop being a horrible human being and stop doing your tantrums when you're in your 60s. Go get help for that. Like, you should not be throwing these tantrums and all that and being a nightmare to work with. Get it together. It's really wild that she's still, and that was probably what fueled Katie to film her. She's like, this grown woman is acting ridiculous. But I wouldn't have filmed her. I would have just called her out. But that's just me. But anyway. But you know what? The more I think about it with Katie, it's a little on brand because Katie is very passive aggressive. And I think on these shows, passive aggressiveness just doesn't work at all. Because you come off either weird or cringy or both. Like, it never works. And you gotta be quick on your toes and be able to get to it. You know what I mean? So then, as that's happening, again, we then go from that to Katie with Matt, her husband, and they're talking more. So she ends up recapping to her husband the additional things that Tamara is saying to the girls about her, and the husband called it out like we're all calling it out. I was like, how are these ladies are so quick to just believe everything Tamara's saying, considering it's Tamara? It's like, I don't know what that is, but that's weird. And I feel like Matt is saying it without saying it, that it comes across a little, what's different from Katie versus all the other women? There's always an ism. And I just hope that's not what it is. But based off of what I saw a preview for episode 6, is giving that a little bit. And I'm not liking it. But anyway. And then from there, let's get to the main event, which was Tamara and Jenn finally meeting for this dinner. Okay, so they meet for this dinner. Tamara shows up first, and then Jenn shows up. I noticed Tamara wasn't drinking at all. Very good on her part. I think she's doing this on purpose now, because she saw how crazy she was. But the thing is, her drinking, when she was saying that, during the reunion and stuff, there's no excuse. She's still acting the same. But anyway, so immediately, Jen's trying to clear the air of what is motivating Tamara to do what she does and have her come clean. But instead, Tamara goes to attack mode immediately and takes no accountability. And Jen's like, what is it with you calling me single white female? Like, what is that? And she's like, because you are acting like that. She's like, please, I don't want to be you. I didn't even know you. Like, now, Jenn, I will say this. You knew who Tamara was. I have to call a little bit of cap on that. You do know you know who Tamara was, okay? Tamara was pretty much one of the faces of this franchise for years. You knew who she was. Now, I know why you said it, because it makes sense. It's good for the clapback, but none of us are buying that. But everything else that Jenn said, she ate her up. And so as Tamara acted reactive and doing all her things and, basically still not owning up to anything, Jenn cleared her immediately. It's like, so how's that therapy going? Tamara had nothing to say, and Tamara ended up getting so mad that she ends up leaving the dinner and storming off. And Jen's like, yeah, you should go then. Okay, bye. And I love it because Jenn, I think Tamara keeps thinking Jenn is going to divert to how she was before, but the gloves are off with Jenn. Jen's like, F you. And I'm going to stand on that because of everything that happened. There's a lot of things that transpire because of Tamara and her words. And to me, what gets me is, how has Tamara not learned from this, considering the fact that she's been sued before? Like, I don't get how she's not understanding that she needs to stop this. Her behavior is just not doable. But anyway, that does conclude this particular episode of The Real Housewives of Orange County. I was originally going to put them all together, but this video will be too long. So I'm going to just have them go back to back, because we don't have any Sunday content, and I'm not going to have another video out until probably Thursday anyway. So I'll put this out, and I'll go and put the other one out shortly. But yeah, anyway. But yeah, anyway, that does conclude the episode. Please like, comment, subscribe to the channel if you get anything out of the content. It's your girl Sharon, aka the Melanin Nostalgic Runner, and I will see you next time. Bye.